You're getting a stimulus package and stimulus checks, but why does Nancy want you to think that you're getting nothing? And why does she have a new name this Saturday afternoon for Mark Meadows? Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Afternoons LALATE. Hope you're good and safe. This is our 2-hour programming block that starts every day at 3:30 with a check, then goes to hazard pay, then FPUC, and then finally rent. Exciting, great news. Congratulations, as I reported yesterday, that a second stimulus agreement on the package, which includes the checks, is imminent. Really incredibly great news after a week that has a lot of twists and turns. But as we start a Saturday afternoon, the Temple of Doom's front door opened and its Empress of Naysaying, Nancy, negative Nancy, walked out and said, "Everyone's getting nothing. Go back to bed." It's just, I don't know what's with her, but let me get right to the details. A second stimulus package deal is imminent. The president yesterday revealed, well, actually not him, but Mark Meadows revealed that the president came up with an incredible offer. And what's incredible is that the amount is so close to where this is getting done. This is literally getting done. What's also interesting is that minutes ago I have more comments from Nancy Pelosi that really shows that her understanding of her own numbers is really, wacko, and that she really is not firm on her numbers as she has said, as so much as she has said. Let me get right to the news. The second stimulus package has taken a lot of twists and turns over the last couple of days. We thought we were going to do a standalone bill for stimulus checks, a standalone bill for FPUC, a standalone bill for eviction moratorium, but now the movement is just to get it done. Wow. And get it done in September, early September, because it has to be negotiated with something else. What else? What else now? I mean, another scandal? Well, yeah, there's another scandal, but more about that in a second. It has to be negotiated with the federal budget, which has to be done in September. There's only 15 days to do a federal budget, and it has to be approved by both the House and the Senate. And if it's not done, the federal government shuts down. And you probably don't have an election either. But, that's besides the point. Let's get to the good stuff. By negotiating that and getting people in the room that don't really like each other and forget each other's names, for purposes of that bill, they will do this bill, aka your stimulus checks. And that has really been incredible, great news. These people just don't want to see face to face. But minutes ago, I got more indication and great news as to what's really going on with the Nancy Pelosi name calling. I don't know what you call it. I mean, her dislike of Mark Meadows is just, she wants you to really know that she dislikes him. I mean, why don't you just come out with a little sticker that says, "Hi, my name is Nancy and I hate Mark Meadows." But she really wants you to know it. Well, today she said why she wants you to know that she hates Mark Meadows. It has nothing to do with stimulus. It's that she just doesn't like the guy, as half of my script just flies off set. She doesn't like the guy, and she does not think that he's the person who's going to give you the checks. Well, who is the guy with the purple shirt that told you who's going to give you the stimulus checks as my script comes back on set? Hey, I mean, that's a good omen. The script left the set and then came back on the set. It's Steve Mnuchin. Steve Mnuchin is the guy who's going to give you the second stimulus checks and stimulus package. He's coming back in town. He's appearing before a congressional hearing. It's going to be on Tuesday. He's going to be talking about stimulus. And Nancy suddenly revealed today why she's so agitated, because she doesn't want to talk to Mark Meadows. She only wants to talk to Steve Mnuchin. Steve and Nancy in a tree, STIMULINTING, stimulating. I mean, that's why my specials have been Stevie and Nancy, because it's really not Stevie and Mark Marky, or Nancy and Marky, or Chucky and Nancy. It's Stevie and Nancy. She wants to do this deal with Steve Mnuchin. She doesn't want to deal with Mark Meadows. So minutes ago, Nancy Pelosi said, hey, I don't know why I'm talking to a staffer. I don't know why I'm talking to an idle staffer. And then she used the real shady word. I mean, she's auditioning from Atlanta Housewives. But it explained what she's going at, what her problem is, or what people's problems are with her. She says, Mark Meadows, he's not the lead negotiator. So now we know what the problem is. She doesn't want to talk to Mark Meadows because she thinks he's sort of like a flunky. He's the guy that just showed up in March, became chief of staff in March, and just sort of showed on the picture. Actually, May. Just showed up on the scene in May. He always wanted to be chief of staff. It's very well documented. And she just thinks he's he's just a hanger-oner. I mean, Candy Burris and Tiny wrote a song about this, hang out on the passenger side, best friends ride. That's who she thinks Mark Meadows is, and she doesn't want to negotiate with him. She wants to negotiate with Steve. And Steve is coming back on Tuesday and talking to one of Nancy's subcommittees, so this is incredible, great news. What's great news is that, one, we've isolated the problem, besides the problem being Nancy Pelosi. Two, we've isolated why that she doesn't want to talk to Mark Meadows, because she just doesn't like him. She wants to do it with Steve Mnuchin, who, I've told you, she did the first stimulus package with. The first stimulus package, which was $2.2 trillion, was done with Steve Mnuchin, Nancy Pelosi and Steve Mnuchin. That's how it was done. She has respect for him. A lot of people have respect for him. I have respect for him. He likes her. They don't agree upon numbers, but that was that. Now, here came the other great news. Yesterday, and I'm going to give you the great news, and I'm going to give you the clarification of the great news. The clarification of the great news was that during that phone call that Mark Meadows had with Nancy Pelosi, the president offered a lot of money. He came in at $1.3 trillion. Now, I need to explain to you the significance of that number. It is so incredibly great that number. I want you to understand why. When I started this channel, everyone thought, all the reports out at the time, and I don't mean gossip, I don't mean behind the dumpster, I mean the broadcast news reporters said they think that this is going to get done, the stimulus package, about 1.5 to 2 million. No one said 2.4. No one said 2.3. No one said 3.1. No one said 500 million or 500 billion. And we always thought that the president was going to offer 1.5 at the beginning, but for some reason, it came in low end. Let me explain what happened to you, because I've never explained this to you because it wasn't really an issue then. The president's amount for the Republican proposal for the second stimulus package, we didn't have an amount before the HEALS Act was debuted to the Senate. And so when Steve Mnuchin and Larry Kudlow were appearing on morning news for about a week before it was announced, reporters kept on asking you, what number are you going to come in at? And they said, we'll see what happens. And they said, what number? Well, all the insiders off the record from the Republican Party told the reporters the number was going to be 1.5. They had said the Republicans were going to come in at the HEALS Act with 1.5, and then it debuted, and it was 1.0. Now, I got to explain to you why it was 1.0 and not 1.5, because Mitch McConnell wrote it, 1. Steve Mnuchin didn't write it. 2, Steve Mnuchin and Mitch McConnell were having a fight at the time, if you recall. 3, Steve Mnuchin went to the House and spoke to representatives that were Republican in the Senate to say, hey, what number you want? And they gave him a number, but he didn't write the bill. Mitch went and wrote the bill. 5, Mitch at that time was really trying to appease a fraction, I don't know if you call it a fraction, it's a pretty large section of the Republican leadership in the House and the Senate that simply doesn't want to give money. They don't want to give money. And so he came in really low. And so when Nancy saw that $1 trillion number, as I saw it, she just lost it. I mean, whether she's losing it now, she really lost it. She thought it was horrible. And it was horrible. It was a crazy number. It had $200 FPUC. It had no eviction moratorium. It had no, it just had a lot of stuff. It had absolutely had no money for food, had no money for children. More about that in a second. So That's why it started so badly, because Mitch really got this off to a bad start. Mitch introduced a bill. Nancy looked like she had a bill before her, that it wasn't with the lead negotiator, what he wrote. It was Mitch's writing. And had we been here, which is the president at 1.3 trillion, Mitch McConnell saying you need a stimulus bill done now, I want an agreement now, I want checks going out now, the new Mitch, more about him in a second, we would have had this deal about 30 days ago. Unfortunately, what we had was the old Mitch, don't want to give you anything. We had those Republicans, don't want to give anything. And we had Meadows just sort of messing up stuff, and Nancy got really agitated. So what would the number look like? Well, this is the other twist to that interview. So the interview happened. It's an incredible number at 1.3 because really everyone thinks this deal is going to get done about 1.5 to 2 trillion. Nancy didn't want to talk about the interview. She said nothing happened. Or something did happen, Nancy. So Mark Meadows spoke to Reuters, which is the top news agency, and said, hey, President came up with an offer during the interview. Her claim that nothing happened. President came up with 1.3 trillion compared to the Republican leadership that did that skinny bill proposal last week, 500 billion. Basically, the president tripled it. This is a big movement. So then Nancy was under the gun, and she had to come back and say why that was so horrible. And so she came back and said, well, it was much of nothing. And she issued a press release. I know you dropped in some of the comments. Says Nancy doesn't like that. Yeah, I know Nancy doesn't like that. But then came this. Now Nancy is changing her number yet again. You know, Nancy was at 3.1 or 3.3. Then she said she demanded Republicans to land at a number. I mean, no one does that. I mean, no one tells you, hey, come to a number. It's just, it's like telling someone you're going on a date, wear purple. Or else, if you don't wear purple, I'm not showing up. It's just, that's what she's doing. Although purple's a really good color. She said, come up Republicans to a number. Well, you can't tell people what number to come up to. And so she's now changing her number. So she was at 3.1. Then she said she'll come down to 3.3. Then she said she was at 3.4. I don't know when she was at 3.4. Now she's saying I'll go to 3.2, but I won't go below 3.2 because at 3.2 everything sort of implodes. Okay. The problem I'm having with no numbers Nancy is that we don't know what these numbers are. I mean, she's just sort of cutting things out, adding things in, asking Republicans to come up $1 trillion. Okay, what is the extra $1 trillion going to be for? You're cutting out $1 trillion on your side, Nancy. What did you cut the $1 trillion out of? You say you can come from 2.4 to 2.2. What did you take 200 billion out of? I don't know what's going on with her. That's why I call her No Numbers Nancy. I have her press releases from the last 3 days, and boy, no more clarity. I mean, when I was reporting that last day when Steve and Nancy were negotiating, you saw that press release. She had no numbers in it as well. The good news is you're getting a stimulus package. You're getting a stimulus checks. They're coming to you. $1,200. I mean, these are numbers we do know. These are numbers we do know. We don't know all this other stuff, which I'll get to in a second. But you're getting a stimulus check, $1,200 individual, married couple $2,400. If you're a dependent, you're going to get a $1,200 dependent check because it's likely that the Republicans are not going to stand their gun for that $500 dependent thing, which is ridiculous. If you're an adult dependent and did not get a stimulus check on the first stimulus package, congratulations. This time you'll get a stimulus check, $1,200. If you're on child support, it will likely not be taken out for child support because the Democrats don't want the stimulus check taken out for child support. That's not to say that a local court or you and locally could go to court to try to get that stimulus check taken back. But it won't be taken out in routing. The delivery of the stimulus check is also great news. It's going to come very, very fast. So if you're on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, or Railroad benefits, it would land in your bank account within 10 days after it's approved. I mean, this is all very good stuff. How soon could you see it? Well, the Senate is back in session and the House is back in session. We're talking about September 8th, September 10th. So it would be very, very quick. will you see the check this coming week? No. Will it land in your bank account this coming week? No. I mean, it's just not landing anywhere in the month of August. Will it land in your bank account the first week of September? No. I just don't. You got to count out 10 days from where the situation is. It's 10 days from when it becomes law. So you'll see the ramping up. You'll see the ramping up between Steve and Nancy. You'll see the ramping up to get this approved as law. And then once it's law, you add those additional 10 days. As to the stimulus package, what else is going on with the remainder of the stimulus package? Well, Nancy's dog and pony show, horse and pony show, walrus and pony show, is that she wants to act like nothing is going to happen. And President Trump was asked about that minutes ago when I was on TV, and I have that quote here as well, that basically he said, they said, what's going on with this thing? He says, well, I did offer more money. And they said, how much you off? I offered 1.3 trillion. And they said, why do you think she doesn't take it? He says, I think she wants it to make it look like she doesn't want to do a deal. Maybe she doesn't want to do a deal, but she wants it to look like she doesn't want it to make a deal. And then they asked him, well, do you think there should be a stimulus package approved right away? He says, absolutely. So really great news. I mean, this is the first time we've heard the president, in his own words, in over 2 weeks, say that you're entitled to stimulus. If you remember about 2 weeks back, he said stimulus checks, hazard pay, FPUC, rent eviction mortgage. He said all the different parts of the stimulus package you're entitled to. As we go forward, what you need to understand is that No Numbers Nancy is really playing this no numbers game. I mean, her press release yesterday said the reason why she can't settle is because Steve Mnuchin, is because the Republican leadership offered her $250,000 for food. Yeah, it was $250,000 for food. I mean, this is just. Yeah. That's why last night I called her out. I'm like, that's just not true, Nancy. We know it's not true. Steve Mnuchin was on Morning News. He gave us, as a money guy, Mnuchin gave us line item. I still have in my notes, line item, each amount of money that he offered right before negotiations last stopped for each of the items. And he specifically said, hey, if we agree upon something, I'll come up with more money. I have no problem with that. We'll split the difference. I'll go up on anything we need more money for. I mean, this is great news. I mean, this is all really great news. He said we weren't disagreeing on subjects, with the exception of one, bailout of states, but we weren't disagreeing on subjects. He specifically mentioned food. This was incredibly great news at the time, and now Nancy wants to make it negative Nancy and say, hey, he didn't give me any money for food. Yeah, he did, Nancy. Why are you trying to pontificate or plasterize this really false, horrible falsehood? She said he didn't give her any food. Well, she gave you food. He went through all the numbers, and he said, I came up to this, and she was at this, and I came up more. It was all really clear and good. As we sit here on a Saturday afternoon, and we're just, on the front porch sipping our Mai Tai, you really got to remember two things. I've warned you before. Weekends are when these people on both the Republican and the Democrat side love to appear on morning talk, afternoon talk, evening talk, and tell you all this sort of crazy stuff. I've told you before, just sort of, brush it off. Don't pay too much of attention to it, because ultimately you want to hear a few things. You want to hear how things are done. You want to hear when money is coming, and you want to hear mindset. Mindset is the most important thing. If Mark Meadows says he wants to give you a stimulus check next week, which is what he said a week ago this last Saturday, that's incredibly great news. If the president's on Air Force One or about to get on Air Force One this morning or late, it was this morning, and he says, I want a stimulus package to get approved right away, that's great news. If the president makes an offer of $1.3 trillion and is ready to sign the bill right now and does that yesterday, that's really great news. What's not great news, and is news that you should simply ignore, is when Nancy issues a press release and says they don't care about American values. They don't care about the children. Because that doesn't really tell us anything. I mean, it really doesn't. And by now, because of this channel, because we're a community, because we all are so inspirited and empowered and informed, that we're looking at numbers. We're looking at numbers. And the thing that makes me discouraged is that I don't have numbers for Nancy Pelosi. I'm just sitting here. I don't have her numbers. I don't know when she says she wants to come down $1 trillion, where she took the $1 trillion from. And I got to go and report hazard pay right after this. I'm like, did she cut your hazard pay? Did she cut your FPUC? Then I'm reporting after that. Where did she cut $1 trillion from? She doesn't tell you. And she doesn't tell you why she wants the Republicans to come up $1 trillion. Where will the extra $1 trillion go? She just gives numbers. And so, as you hear that, you're like, it's sort of like, honey, I want to buy you a diamond ring. It has to be $2,000. I don't care what it looks like. It has to be $2,000. Or what if I find out? No, it has to be $2,000. You don't know what you're getting here with her. But the good news is you're getting a stimulus check. The good news is you're getting an extension of FPUC. The good news is you're getting an extension, a rent eviction moratorium. The good news is you're getting these things, but she wants it to look like you aren't. That's her bit. And now you're on to it. Coming up next is hazard pay. Do me a favor. Thank you for all the likes you gave in the last 24 hours. Keep it up. Hit this, take that scarf, take that Javita Carranza SBA EIDL scarf and just smack the like button on this video. 100,000 people watching the video. Let's have 100,000 likes. If you watch this video, enjoy it. Please like the button. Please hit the like button. Then also subscribe to this channel and hit the alert button so you're gonna know when a new video goes live. This is a really incredible community. By the way, when you comment a lot and other people like your comment and give it a thumbs up, or I go into the comments and I hit it and I give it a heart, that will ultimately result in you getting a very nice little icon thingy next to you. So a couple of viewers now have that little icon thingy next to them because their comments have come off as very popular among others. Congratulations. Coming up next is hazard pay. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, stay focused. Have a great afternoon. Oh, and don't forget to join me at Evenings LALATE at 7 o'clock tonight. Boy, I'll have more shocking stuff on that as well. Have a great afternoon.